Hi, and welcome to my reading of The Apprentice Storyteller. And thank you so much for joining me on this awesome event today, because I really want to get this book out there. I think it's really something that's going to just change my life and hopefully also change the lives of my readers. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. The Apprentice Storyteller, Book 1 of the Wishmaster series. Part 1, A Boy's Dream. Chapter 1. The storyteller's words transport the boy into a magical realm beyond anything he's ever imagined. He listens enraptured. Her words flow, a tugging current drawing him ever deeper into uncharted territory. The small inflections in her voice weave a tapestry of enchanted places, daring adventure, and characters more real than anyone he knows. Immersed as he is, a part of him still wants to know how she does this. How can simple words be so magical? Time pauses. The boy lives a unique experience fabricated just for him. He basks in the glory of blazing golden trees, something he's never seen and which stretches his imagination to the brink. Each word is a drop of paint, bringing color to a gray existence. Every change in timbre is elixir, bringing life into this boy who craves more, a starving urchin hankering after a breadcrumb. More. He wants so much more. The words end. The spell is broken. Tangible silence spans the interminable moment of a water droplet launching itself from its source on the cave's ceiling and plummeting downwards, an eternity in a moment, until it lands with a gentle splash. Spectators rouse themselves. The boy is jarred back to reality with the harsh scrape of wood on stone. A collective breath is followed by cacophony. A cheer goes up for the storyteller. Then patrons turn their attention to what they were doing before the spell drew them in. Deep voices call for ale. Conversations blossom. Laughter sparkles. So much noise jars the silence into a fragmented memory. The scrape of wood on stone brings the boy fully out of his trance. He blinks, pulling himself back to the brightness he'd forgotten as he listened to the magical voice of the woman who now rises. Her short cape whirls, adding flair to her movement. His eye is drawn to the flamboyant hat, complete with a bobbing feather in it. She steps into a darkened alcove and commands a serving girl with an authoritative flick of her hand. This storyteller is a true master. She dresses the part, and every action is precise, a holistic display of everything the boy knows a weaver of tales should be. Watching from across the room, he observes the fabler while she picks at the stew she's been served. Distaste flits across her features on occasion as she separates bits of gristle from her meal. The sight of food, together with the fragrant steam wafting from the kitchen, is too much for him. His stomach rumbles. It is a loud and prolonged reverberation. He cringes, hoping others won't note his presence. He glances about. The furtive gesture is accompanied by a sigh of relief. No one has a care for the boy hunching in the shadows by the tavern door. He is close enough to the door to escape should his presence become a problem. He is also near enough to the raised platform where the storyteller performed. He knows he missed nothing from his vantage point. The boy returns his attention to the storyteller. She pushes her bowl away and dabs at her lips with a handkerchief. He stirs. This is his moment. Soon she will head upstairs to her room. He must make his move or forever regret not doing so. He takes a faltering step forward. His hand trembles and he strains against the sudden weight of his feet. Move, he commands. I have to get there. I must. As he approaches, her gaze locks onto him. Sharp violet eyes pierce him. His courage scurries into some deep recess of his inner self. The boy freezes. He feels his eyes widen. hears his heart beating faster than the boisterous rhythm of the tavern's patrons. His stomach clenches. Pearlescent beads shimmer into existence along his hairline. He feels them, fire and ice combined into searing droplets. With an inordinate effort, he takes a deep breath. It rasps in his throat. He clenches his jaw, feels the sensation of muscles and tendons working, fueling his determination. More force allows him to drag forth his courage from its hiding place in the shadows. I will do this, he determines. He crosses the room in 3 bold strides, and he doesn't drop his gaze from the bewitching violet eyes of the person he most ardently wishes to speak to. He slides onto the bench opposite the storyteller. She is older than he imagined. Her visage is defined by many lines. Her skin is dark, burned by the Empire's many suns, although he imagines her original tone is something close to walnut. Long fingers grace her thin hands. Soft veins and hard tendons form ridges across them. He glances up into her violet gaze, so unusual and captivating. A silence grows between them. The boy becomes aware of her scrutiny. He feels grimy, wipes a hand on the once grey homespun of his tunic. Now it is streaked with brown. He knows he is thin, and wonders if that will be an advantage or not in achieving his purpose. Her gaze lingers on his hair, and he instinctively brushes a hand over it, surprised to find it matted. A tickling drip gathers in his nose and travels right to the tip. He sniffs it away. Yes, the storyteller's voice is sharp. Surely you didn't cross the room only to sit there. The boy drops his gaze. He begins picking at dry grass seeds clinging to his trousers. Boy, she continues, spit it out. I won't bite. Her voice softens as she speaks, and he looks up again, noting a glint of humor. Speak, she encourages again, her lips quirking at the corners. His mouth is dry. He swallows and dampens his lips with the tip of his tongue. With his insides quivering, he gathers his courage by the scruff of the neck and drags it out, blurting, Teach me! I want to learn. I have always wanted to learn. She stiffens. So he adds, Mrs. Storyteller, I need to be able to tell stories the way you do. I have to know how to do it. Take me as your apprentice. Please. His lips close, sealing the path to his impassioned speech, cutting off the opportunity for any more to spill out, because the woman shakes her head. The feather on her hat dances in the movement. I do not take apprentices, she states with finality. She rises. She is taller than he thought, thin and wiry. His heart plummets at her words. Before his disappointment comes crashing in around him, he pulls together what he can and asks, What is your name? The storyteller steps aside into the light. I am Viola Alerion, she bows, flicking her russet cloak with a flourish. Then she turns and walks off. He sits stunned. Thoughts tumble over each other, clamoring in his mind. Viola Alerion, he murmurs. No wonder I was so moved. More acutely aware of his dirtiness, he adds, as he stands and slinks out of the crowded room. No wonder everyone was moved. Of course the greatest storyteller in the Empire won't want to have anything to do with me. What was I even thinking? He steps out into the darkness. Wind buffets him hard. With head bowed, the boy fights against air to get to another building a short distance away. Sand abrades his exposed hands and cheeks. He seeks shelter in the first doorway that presents itself. The deeper darkness of the building comforts him as he shakes sand from his clothes and hair. When his eyes grow accustomed to the dimness, he sees a row of sleek transports, foreign things he has little knowledge of, but which fascinate him. Unfamiliar hard lines mark these engines of motion. A word pops into his mind. Hover car. He doesn't know where it comes from. He scratches his head. Why would I think that? I don't even know what it means. How do I know this strange thing with the hard casing that bears imperial officials is a hover car? He shakes his head again. Strange things have been happening since he left home. He knows something important is afoot, but he doesn't know what. He glances once more at the row of machines, then walks into the dimness. He makes out a darker shadow, the outline of a doorway. Stepping through, he finds himself in a more familiar world. His nose is assaulted by the odor of manure and hay. His eyes pick out stalls in the half-light, and he hears the constant sounds of living creatures. A tail swishes, a hoof stamps. Shavings shift softly under the weight of a horse. A loud snort emanates from one stall. He relaxes. He is accustomed to animals. He knows what they are all about. As he passes, a silky muzzle nudges his shoulder over a stall door. He pauses to run a hand over the creature's face, his fingers tingling on the short hairs brushing beneath them. Then he continues on his way until he comes to an empty stall. He checks around him, making certain he is alone with the beasts of burden. He slips inside and settles down on a pile of clean shavings. He pulls a leather bag up next to him and rummages inside. His fingers clasp around a smooth, round object, and he pulls out the apple, breathes in its scent, and then takes a bite. The explosion of flavorful pulp and mouth-watering juice makes his stomach growl again. It only takes a few more bites to leave nothing more than a stalk. He tosses that over his shoulder. His thoughts buzz around the evening and everything that happened. I met Viola Alerion. A smile plays across his lips at the memory of her tale and how he felt he was there, experiencing the adventure himself. Then his dilemma comes crashing into his consciousness. Can I really give up now? How do I convince her that I must be her apprentice? How do I make her see this is important? Can I even bother her again? What if she becomes angry should I approach her tomorrow? A new thought filters through. Have faith. The boy shifts, sitting cross-legged and closing his eyes. He focuses on that thought. Faith. I can have faith in this meeting. Thank you, Mother Father, for this opportunity, he murmurs. I know you must have contrived this meeting for me to fulfill my ardent wish to become a storyteller in my own right. Thank you for deeming me worthy of becoming apprentice to such a great master. He rolls up into a ball and whispers to himself, No more doubts. Tomorrow, I try again.